The stars looked different from the bridge of the Harmony. Captain June had seen many star systems in his long career, but Earth's sun had a yellow glow that seemed both welcoming and strange. His ship hung in orbit around the blue planet. It was time for first contact with the humans. "Are the communication systems ready?" June asked. He straightened his uniform and tried to look calm. This was his 18th first contact mission. It should be routine. His cultural specialist, Day, looked up from his screen. "Yes, Captain. But I must warn you again. The data we have on humans suggests they are unusual." June waved his hand. "All species think they are special, Day. The Confederation has met hundreds of alien races. Humans will not be that different." Day did not seem convinced. "The observation teams have reported strange things. Humans can survive in conditions that would kill most species. They eat foods that would poison others. Their history is full of both terrible violence and amazing kindness. Rumors and exaggerations," June said with a smile. "Let's make contact." The main screen lit up. A human woman appeared. She had dark hair and wore a blue uniform. Her face showed no fear, only interest. "This is Director Hana Kim of the United Earth Government. We welcome the Galactic Confederation to Earth." Her voice was calm, as if talking to space aliens was an everyday event. June blinked in surprise. You were expecting us?" Hana smiled. "We detected your ship 3 weeks ago. We've been waiting for you to make contact." This was not how first contacts usually went. Most species either panicked or attacked when they first saw alien ships. Humans had simply watched and waited. "I am Captain June of the Confederation vessel Harmony. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations with Earth." "We are pleased to hear that," Hana replied. "We have prepared a landing area for your shuttle. We can meet face to face to begin formal talks." After the call ended, Day looked worried. "Captain, they detected us weeks ago. Our ships have the best cloaking technology in the galaxy." "Perhaps they got lucky," June said. But he felt uneasy. The briefing had said humans were a young species with limited technology. How had they spotted the Harmony so easily? June selected a team of 5 officers for the landing party. They prepared the shuttle for descent to Earth. As they approached the landing zone, the sensors began to pick up strange readings. "Captain," said the pilot, "I'm detecting energy signatures all around the planet. They appear to be defense systems." "That can't be right," June said, looking at the screen. "The intelligence reports say human technology is primitive compared to ours." But the evidence was clear. Earth was protected by an advanced defense network. The technology matched or even exceeded Confederation standards. How was this possible for an isolated planet? The shuttle landed in a large open area near a city. A group of humans waited nearby. They wore different colored uniforms and stood in a neat line. June stepped out first, feeling the Earth's gravity and breathing its air. It was slightly heavier and richer than he was used to. The sun felt warm on his skin. Director Hana Kim stepped forward. In person, she looked strong and confident. "Welcome to Earth, Captain June. We are honored to be the first humans to meet representatives of the Galactic Confederation." "The honor is ours," June replied, using the standard diplomatic greeting. "We bring greetings from the 100 worlds of the Confederation." Hana introduced her team. There was General Park of Earth's Defense Force, Dr. Jin from the Science Academy, Ambassador Sung, who would handle diplomatic relations, and Security Chief Hyun, who looked at the aliens with careful eyes. The humans led them to a large building with high ceilings and wide windows that showed the city beyond. They sat around a round table. Servers brought drinks and food. "We have prepared meals that should be safe for your biology," Hana explained. "Our scientists studied the composition of your ship and made educated guesses about your needs." June tried not to show his surprise. The humans had not only detected their ship but analyzed its materials from a distance. That required extremely advanced technology. "You seem to know a lot about us," June said carefully. General Park smiled. "We've been watching the stars for a long time, Captain. We knew we weren't alone." The meeting continued for hours. The humans asked smart questions about the Confederation. They showed no fear or overwhelming excitement. They acted like equals, not like a young species meeting advanced aliens. After the formal talks, Hana offered to show June and his team around the city. They walked through clean streets where humans of different colors and sizes moved about their day. Some stopped to stare at the aliens, but most just nodded and continued on. "Your people seem very calm about our presence," Day said to Ambassador Sung. We've been preparing for this day for generations, Sung explained. Our fiction has imagined aliens for hundreds of years. Meeting you is exciting but not shocking. They visited a park where children played. The little humans pointed and laughed at the visitors, but not in a mean way. They seemed curious rather than afraid. Children adapt quickly, Hana said. They'll grow up in a galaxy full of different species and think nothing of it. As they walked, June noticed many details that didn't match his briefing. The city had advanced transportation systems. The buildings used materials that suggested sophisticated engineering. And the humans themselves showed signs of excellent healthcare and education. That evening, the team returned to the Harmony to report to Confederation headquarters. June sat in his private quarters trying to make sense of what he had seen. His communication officer called. Captain, we've detected unusual activities around the planet. The humans are moving ships into defensive positions. Are they preparing to attack? June asked, suddenly alert. No, sir. It appears to be a standard patrol pattern. But they're ships. The technology readings are off the charts. June frowned. Send me the data. The information that appeared on his screen was impossible. Human ships had energy signatures that indicated technology the Confederation thought was still theoretical. Their defensive capabilities and propulsion systems were far beyond what an isolated species should have. Day entered the room without knocking. Captain, you need to see this. He held up a data pad. I've been analyzing Earth's communication networks. They have information about us, about the Confederation, even about species we haven't told them about yet. How is that possible? June asked. I don't know, Day admitted, but I think the rumors about humans may be true after all. The next day, June met with Hana again. This time he asked direct questions. Director Kim, your technology level is far beyond what we expected. You know things about the galaxy you shouldn't know. Can you explain this? Hana looked at him with calm eyes. Captain, Earth has been observed by many species over the centuries. Not all were as careful about hiding as the Confederation. We learned from those observations. And your technology? Humans are good at adapting and innovating, she said simply. When we see a problem, we find a way to solve it. June thought about this answer. It seemed too simple to explain the advanced ships, the planetary defenses, the deep knowledge of galactic politics. There's something else, Hana added. We've been sending ships beyond our solar system for decades. Quietly, carefully, learning, watching. This was shocking news. Earth was supposed to be a single-system civilization. If they had ships exploring the galaxy without being detected, why didn't you make contact with the Confederation before now? June asked. We weren't ready, Hana replied. We needed to understand the galactic situation first, to know who we could trust. As the diplomatic mission continued, June saw more evidence that humans were not what they seemed. They showed technologies that were advanced but held back others, revealing just enough to establish themselves as worthy of respect. During a dinner on the final night of the initial contact, General Park became more open after drinking a human beverage called wine. The truth is, he said quietly to June, we've been preparing for war for centuries. Not against you specifically, against anyone who might threaten Earth. Is that why your defenses are so advanced? June asked. Park nodded. Our history taught us to be ready. Humans fight among themselves all the time. We assumed other species might be hostile too. The Confederation promotes peace, June assured him. So we've observed, Park said with a knowing smile. But not everyone in the galaxy is so friendly. Before returning to Confederation space, June filed his report. He wrote, Initial contact with humans successful but concerning. Their technology and knowledge far exceed our intelligence estimates. They have been aware of galactic civilization for longer than we realized and have prepared accordingly. The first rumor about humans is confirmed. They are far more advanced than anyone predicted. The Harmony pulled away from Earth orbit, leaving behind a communication system for ongoing diplomatic relations. As the blue planet shrank on the view screen, June felt both excited and worried about what this new species would bring to the Confederation. One thing was clear, humans were going to change everything. Dr. Min did not believe the numbers on her screen. She checked her equipment again, sure that it must be broken. But everything was working correctly. The human test subject's vital signs were impossible. How long has he been in the cold chamber? Min asked her assistant. Tay checked the timer. 6 hours and 22 minutes. Temperature is -15 degrees. Min shook her head in disbelief. The human volunteer, a soldier named Jay, wore only light protective clothing. He should have been suffering from hypothermia hours ago. Instead, his body temperature had dropped only slightly and then stabilized. He was uncomfortable but not in danger. Ask him if he wants to continue, Min said. Tay spoke into the communication system. The human's voice came back clear and steady. I can stay longer if needed. I've been in worse conditions during mountain training. 2 months had passed since first contact between Earth and the Galactic Confederation. Min's science team had been sent to study human biology after early reports suggested unusual capabilities. What they had found so far was shocking. Min ended the cold test and called for the next experiment. This one would test human endurance and strength. 5 volunteers would run on special machines until exhaustion. Begin the exercise test, Min ordered. The human subjects started running. Min's team monitored their vital signs. Most species showed a predictable pattern during exercise. A quick rise in heart rate and breathing, a plateau, then a decline as tiredness set in. Humans were different. Look at these hormone levels, Tay said, pointing to the screen. When they begin to tire, their bodies release compounds that actually improve performance. That shouldn't be possible, Min muttered. But it was happening right in front of her. The humans weren't just continuing to run, they were running faster as time went on. 3 hours later, Min had to end the test. The machines had reached their limits before the humans had. That evening, Min met with Dr. Jin Park, Earth's chief scientist, in a quiet restaurant. Jin was a friendly man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had been helping the Confederation scientists understand human physiology. Your people showed remarkable endurance today, Min said after they ordered food. Jin smiled. Humans have always been good at pushing limits. Our early ancestors had to chase animals for days to tire them out for hunting. We evolved to keep going when other creatures stopped. But it's not just endurance, Min said. We've been running tests for weeks now. Your people can tolerate radiation levels that would kill most species. You can eat foods that would poison others. You heal from injuries at rates that suggest advanced regenerative abilities. We don't think of ourselves as special, Jin said with a shrug. This is just how humans are. Their food arrived. Min watched with fascination as Jin ate something called spicy chicken that contained chemicals that would cause pain in most species. Humans ate it for pleasure. There's something else, Min said carefully. When we studied your medical records and history, we found evidence that humans have survived multiple extinction-level events. Plagues, climate changes, even radiation disasters. Your species should have died out several times. Jin nodded. We came close a few times. But humans are good at adapting. You don't just adapt, Min said. You seem designed to survive anything. Jin laughed. Not designed, evolved. Earth tried to kill us many times before we learned to work with it, instead of against it. But your species shows trauma responses indicating you've survived multiple extinction-level events. Min pressed. Yes, Jin acknowledged calmly. We call those Tuesdays. The casual way he said this shocked Min. Humans joked about disasters that would destroy most civilizations. The next day, Min's team tested human pain tolerance. The results were disturbing. Humans could function normally while experiencing pain levels that would incapacitate other species. More strangely, some humans seemed able to simply ignore pain through mental discipline alone. How are you blocking the pain signals? Min asked a human woman named Sue, who had just held her hand in ice water for 10 minutes without showing distress. I'm not blocking them, Sue explained. I'm acknowledging the pain exists but choosing not to let it control me. This concept was foreign to most Confederation species. Pain was a simple input-output system. Feel pain, respond to pain. Humans had somehow developed the ability to override this basic survival mechanism when needed. Min's most surprising discovery came when studying human sleep patterns. Most intelligent species needed regular, uninterrupted sleep cycles. Humans, however, could function on broken sleep, short sleep, or even no sleep for days when necessary. Their performance decreased, but not as much as it should have. Your people sleep like predators, not like prey, Min told Jin during another meeting. Short periods, easily awakened, able to function when sleep-deprived. Our ancient ancestors had to stay alert for dangers, Jin explained. Those who slept too deeply got eaten. Min's final test examined human psychological resilience. Volunteers were placed in isolation chambers for varying periods. Most species showed severe distress after just hours of isolation. Humans could endure days, keeping themselves occupied with just their thoughts. When one test subject, a man named Han, emerged from 3 days of isolation, Min asked him how he had coped. "I replayed my favorite movies in my head," Han said, as if this were perfectly normal. "Then I designed a new kitchen for my house. Then I composed some music." "You did all this in your mind?" Min asked. "Of course," Han replied. "Doesn't everyone?" Min's final report to the Confederation Council caused great concern. She presented her findings in the council chamber, with Jin Park attending as Earth's representative. "In conclusion," Min said, "humans possess biological capabilities that defy standard classification. They survive in conditions that should be lethal. They endure pain, hunger, thirst, temperature extremes, and psychological stresses far beyond normal tolerances. Their bodies not only withstand damage but actively repair it at accelerated rates." A council member raised a hand. "Are you suggesting humans are a genetically engineered species?" "No," Min replied. "Their DNA shows natural evolutionary patterns, but those patterns indicate that Earth must be one of the harshest worlds in the galaxy. Humans evolved these traits because they had to in order to survive." Another council member turned to Jin. "Do all humans possess these exceptional capabilities?" "To varying degrees," Jin said. "Some are stronger, some more resistant to disease, some better with cold or heat. But the basic resilience is common to all humans." "What happens when humans are pushed beyond their limits?" asked a third council member. Jin smiled. "That's the most interesting part. When humans hit their limits, they often surpass them. We adapt during crisis, not just after it." The council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. The Confederation had encountered hundreds of species, but none like humans. Most evolved in stable environments with predictable challenges. Humans had evolved on a planet that regularly tried to kill them. After the council meeting, Min spoke privately with Jin. "There's something your people don't understand about humans," Jin said quietly. "Our greatest strength isn't our physical resilience. It's that we never accept limitations as permanent. Tell us something is impossible, and some human somewhere will try to do it anyway." "Is that why you explored space before officially having the technology to do so?" Min asked. Jin looked surprised that she knew this secret. "Yes, we weren't ready according to the standard development path. But we went anyway." "Aren't you afraid of the dangers in the galaxy?" Min asked. Jin laughed. "Doctor, humans climb mountains that can kill us just to see the view. We dive into ocean depths that can crush us just to discover what lives there. We jump out of perfectly good aircraft for fun. Danger has never stopped humans from exploring." That night, Min added a private note to her official report. "The second rumor about humans is confirmed. They possess biological resilience that defies scientific explanation. But more concerning is their psychological profile. They don't just survive, they thrive on challenges that would traumatize other species. They seek out hardship rather than avoiding it, and they do so not just as individuals but as a cultural value." As her ship prepared to leave Earth orbit, Min looked down at the blue planet. She had come to study human biology but had discovered something far more significant. Humans had not just survived on their dangerous world, they had been shaped by it into something unique in the galaxy. The most disturbing thought came to her just before sleep. If Earth had created humans through natural evolution, what would humans create now that they had access to the technology of hundreds of worlds? The galaxy was about to find out. The alarm blared through the harmony, jerking Captain June from sleep. He rushed to the bridge, still pulling on his uniform jacket. "Report," he ordered as the doors slid open. His first officer, a tall woman named Rin, turned from the main console. "Arvex ships detected near the Outpost 7. They're attacking the station." June's stomach tightened. The Arvex Dominion had been a threat to Confederation peace for decades. They were aggressive, technologically advanced, and believed in expansion through conquest. "How many ships?" June asked. 20 battlecruisers, Rin replied. "The outpost has minimal defenses. They're requesting immediate assistance." June assessed the situation quickly. The Harmony was on a diplomatic mission in Earth's solar system, not a military vessel. The nearest Confederation battle fleet was hours away. "Contact Earth Defense Force," June decided. "Request assistance." Minutes later, Director Hana Kim appeared on the communication screen. She listened calmly as June explained the crisis. The Arvex are attacking a Confederation outpost near your system, June said. We need help until our military vessels can arrive. Hana nodded. We'll send ships immediately. Can you transmit the exact location and any tactical information about the Arvex? After sending the data, June turned to his tactical officer. What kind of help can we expect from Earth? They've only been part of the Confederation for 3 months. Their ships aren't designed for this kind of conflict. Unknown, sir, the officer replied. Their vessels have unusual energy signatures, but we haven't seen them in combat situations. June hoped the humans wouldn't send too many ships. The Arvex were feared throughout the galaxy for their advanced weapons and ruthless tactics. This would be a good test of human capabilities versus their claims. But he didn't want to see Earth vessels destroyed in their first engagement. 30 minutes later, sensors detected 5 Earth ships leaving orbit, only 5 against 20 Arvex battlecruisers. Either the humans were foolishly brave or they didn't understand the danger. We should warn them, Day suggested. The Arvex will show no mercy. Before June could respond, the human ships accelerated to speeds his instruments could barely track. They were using drive technology unknown to the Confederation. How are they moving so fast? Rin asked, staring at the readings. Their crews should be dead from the G-forces. Monitor all communications, June ordered. He felt responsible for involving Earth in this conflict. If their ships were destroyed, it would be his fault. As the human vessels approached the outpost, June expected them to form a defensive formation. Instead, each ship moved, independently in patterns that seemed chaotic but somehow coordinated. The human commander is requesting a direct channel, the communications officer announced. A woman's face appeared on screen. Commander Hyun of Earth Defense Force. We've arrived at the conflict zone, Captain June. We'll handle this situation. Commander, be advised that you are outnumbered 4-1, June warned. Confederation reinforcements will arrive in 3 hours. If you can just buy some time, 3 hours won't be necessary, Hyun interrupted politely. We'll resolve this quickly. The screen split to show the battle zone. The 5 human ships were now among the Arvex vessels, moving at speeds that should have been impossible. The Arvex fired their weapons, but the human ships seemed to anticipate every shot, moving just enough to avoid being hit. Targeting enemy weapon systems only, Hyun transmitted calmly. We prefer to disable rather than destroy when possible. June watched in amazement as the human vessels fired precision weapons at the Arvex ships. Each shot hit exactly where it aimed: weapon mounts, engine sections, communication arrays. The humans weren't trying to destroy the Arvex ships, just make them unable to fight. This is impossible, Rin whispered. No one fights the Arvex like this. No one. After just 20 minutes, 17 Arvex ships hung dead in space, disabled but intact. Their weapons, engines, and communication systems had been precisely destroyed. The remaining 3 retreated, jumping to faster-than-light speed to escape. Commander Hyun's face reappeared on screen. Situation resolved, Captain June. The outpost is secure. Would you like us to remain until Confederation forces arrive? June struggled to find words. Yes. That would be appreciated, Commander. After ending the transmission, June turned to his officers. All of them looked shocked. How? Day asked finally. How did they do that? June had no answer. When the Confederation battle fleet finally arrived, they found the human ships calmly patrolling around the outpost. The Arvex vessels remained disabled but intact, a situation unprecedented in Confederation history. The Arvex always fought to the death. Always. 2 days later, June requested a meeting with Commander Hyun to better understand what had happened. They met at Earth's orbital defense station, a massive structure that somehow hadn't appeared on Confederation scans until recently. Thank you for meeting me, Commander, June said as they walked through the station corridors. I have many questions about your battle tactics. Hyun nodded. I'm sure you do. But first, would you like a tour of our facility? The station was impressive. It had advanced weapon systems, defensive shields, and living quarters for thousands of personnel. Most surprising was the training center where human soldiers practiced in simulated environments, ranging from deep space to alien worlds. How long have you had this station? June asked carefully. This one? About 15 years, Hyun said casually. It's our 3rd generation design. The earlier ones were more primitive. 15 years. Earth had been building space defenses long before contact with the Confederation. In a quiet conference room, June finally asked the question that had been bothering him. How did your ships move like that during the battle? No living crew could withstand those forces. Hyun smiled. They don't have to. Our ships are mostly automated or remote piloted. When we do need crews aboard, we use specialized fluid immersion systems to distribute pressure evenly throughout the body. But the tactical approach, June pressed. How did you anticipate the ARVEX movement so accurately? We didn't, Hyun replied. We projected multiple potential scenarios simultaneously and adapted in real time. Our combat systems are designed to identify patterns and exploit them. You make it sound simple, June said. The concept is simple. The execution is complex. Hyun pulled up a holographic display showing the battle. See here? The ARVEX use standard attack formations just like the Confederation. They're predictable because those formations have worked for them for centuries. And humans don't use standard formations? June asked. We did once. Then we realized that being unpredictable is an advantage. Our ships are programmed to avoid patterns that enemies can learn and exploit. The implications were disturbing. The Confederation's entire military doctrine was based on established tactics and formations. If those were fundamentally vulnerable to human-style combat, there's something else I'd like to show you, Hyun said, leading June to another section of the station. They entered a large chamber where humans in special suits were floating in what looked like combat practice. But they moved in ways that defied gravity. What is this? June asked. Zero-gravity combat training, Hyun explained. All our defense personnel are trained to fight in any environment. Vacuum, underwater, zero-gravity, high-gravity, toxic atmospheres. Why? Most combat occurs on ships or habitable worlds. Hyun gave him a look that seemed almost pitying. Because we believe in being prepared for anything. Limits are often just a lack of imagination. As they continued the tour, June saw more evidence of human military philosophy. They trained for improbable scenarios, developed technologies for unlikely environments, and seemed obsessed with being ready for the unknown. I have to ask, June said finally, why did you disable the ARVEX ships rather than destroy them? They would have shown you no such mercy. We know, Hyun said, but there's no strategic advantage in unnecessary killing. Those disabled ships send a clearer message than destroyed ones would have. The ARVEX now know we can defeat them easily but choose restraint. That's more frightening than simple destruction. June thought about this. It was a sophisticated approach to warfare, psychological as well as physical. Before leaving the station, June asked one final question. The ARVEX are known throughout the galaxy as fearsome warriors. Weren't your people afraid facing them for the first time? Hyun considered this. Captain, humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've developed weapons that could destroy our entire planet. The ARVEX are dangerous, yes, but they're not the most dangerous enemy we've faced. What was? Ourselves, Hyun said simply. Back on the Harmony, June filed a detailed report about the battle in his meeting with Commander Hyun. He wrote, the third rumor about humans is confirmed. They don't just fight with technology and strength. They fight with calculated unpredictability that makes them virtually impossible to counter. Their entire approach to warfare is fundamentally different from all known species. June added a personal note at the end. I believe humans have developed their unique combat abilities because they evolved fighting themselves. Unlike most species who developed weapons to fight predators or other threats, humans created increasingly sophisticated ways to kill each other. The result is a species that understands violence and its applications better than any in the Confederation. The Great Library of the Confederation was the largest collection of knowledge in the known galaxy. It contained billions of documents from thousands of species spanning millions of years. No single being could read even a small fraction of its contents in a lifetime. Chi, the chief librarian, had worked there for over 200 years. He had seen countless scholars come and go. He prided himself on his calm, unshakable demeanor, but today his calm was being tested. They're requesting access to the restricted archives again, his assistant told him. The humans won't take no for an answer, Chi sighed. Which section this time? Ancient weapons technology, theoretical physics, and extinct species biology. All at once. It had been 6 months since Earth joined the Confederation. As was standard procedure, humans had been granted access to the Galactic Library. What wasn't standard was how they were using it. Most new species spent years carefully studying basic knowledge before moving to more complex topics. Humans dove into everything at once, making connections between fields that most scholars considered completely separate. Chi walked through the grand hallways of the library until he reached the Earth research section. Unlike the quiet, orderly study areas used by other species, the human zone was chaotic. Screens displayed multiple data streams simultaneously. Researchers argued loudly over theories. Some even had food and drinks near ancient texts. Dr. Song, Earth's representative to the Confederation Education Exchange, noticed Chi and waved him over. Song was a friendly man who always seemed excited about something. Chief librarian, just the person I wanted to see. We need access to the Dravidian Phase Technology Archives. Chi frowned. Those archives are restricted because the technology is considered dangerous and unstable. Exactly why we need to study it, Song said. As if this explained everything. Dr. Song, your team has only been studying Confederation science for 6 months. Dravidian technology requires years of background knowledge to even begin understanding. Song grinned. We're fast learners. This was an understatement. Humans were absorbing and synthesizing information at rates that alarmed the library administrators. They had already mastered concepts that took other species decades to understand. May I ask why you're interested in this particular technology? She asked. We think it can be combined with lemonite biological systems to create a new type of medical treatment, Song explained. Chi blinked in surprise. Those technologies have been deemed incompatible for centuries. The energy patterns of Dravidian phase tech destroy biological material. Only if applied directly, Song said. We believe a modified phase field could actually enhance biological regeneration if properly calibrated. This was exactly the kind of thing that worried Chi about humans. They didn't respect the established boundaries of knowledge. They questioned fundamental assumptions that the Confederation had accepted for generations. I'll have to consult with the Council, Chi said finally. 2 days later, Song was summoned to explain his research to the Confederation Council. Chi attended as the library representative. The council chamber was filled with representatives from dozens of worlds. Council member Ji, a respected scientist, led the questioning. Dr. Song, you've requested access to multiple restricted technologies, Ji began. Your team is pursuing research paths that have been abandoned as dead ends by our best minds. Why waste resources investigating impossible combinations? Song looked genuinely confused. Impossible? We've already created a working prototype combining Dravidian and lemonite principles. Murmurs filled the chamber. Ji looked skeptical. That cannot be correct. These technologies are fundamentally incompatible. Only if approached linearly, Song explained. He projected a complex diagram onto the main screen. The traditional approach tries to make the systems compatible directly. We created an intermediate conversion layer that transforms the energy patterns. The diagram showed a solution that was elegant in its simplicity. Many council members leaned forward, studying it with growing interest. This is innovative, Chi admitted, but it goes against established theory. Then perhaps the theory needs updating, Song suggested politely. This pattern repeated across dozens of research areas. Humans would take established knowledge, question fundamental assumptions, and develop solutions that the galactic community had deemed impossible. After the council meeting, Chi approached Song in the hallway. Your prototype, does it actually work as you claim? Song smiled. It more than works. It's revolutionizing our understanding of both technologies. Would you like to see it? Chi agreed, and they traveled to the human research facility on the Confederation Central Station. The laboratory was unlike any Chi had seen before. It seemed chaotic, with multiple experiments running simultaneously. Researchers moved from project to project, sharing ideas freely. Here it is, Song said, pointing to a small device glowing with soft blue light. Next to it was a container holding living tissue. Watch what happens when we activate the modified phase field, Song explained, pressing a control. The blue light enveloped the tissue. Instead of destroying it as traditional Dravidian technology would have, the tissue began growing and repairing itself at an accelerated rate. How? Chi began, unable to finish his question. We asked what if instead of accepting what is, Song said simply. The Dravidian records showed some anomalous results that were dismissed as errors. We investigated those errors and found they weren't errors at all. They were glimpses of another possibility. As they toured the facility, Chi saw more examples of human innovation. They had combined technologies from different species in ways no one had considered before. They had revisited abandoned research paths and found new solutions. They had questioned theories that had stood unchallenged for centuries. "There's something I don't understand," Chi said finally. "Why do humans pursue knowledge with no clear practical application? Many of these projects have no immediate use." "All knowledge has potential value," Song replied. "We explore because we're curious, not just because we need solutions to specific problems." "But some knowledge is dangerous," Chi pointed out. "All knowledge is neutral," Song said. "It's the application that determines benefit or harm. We believe understanding something fully is better than fearing it partially." When Chi pointed out that some knowledge had led species to self-destruction, Song nodded thoughtfully. "We've nearly destroyed ourselves several times," he acknowledged. "Each time we learned and adapted. The close calls are what taught us responsibility later that day." Chi attended a diplomatic reception where he found himself speaking with Captain June, who was now serving as a liaison between Earth and the Confederation. "Your species seems comfortable with dangerous knowledge," June observed to Song, who had joined their conversation. "Doesn't this concern you?" "What's more dangerous, knowledge or ignorance?" Song asked. "Throughout human history, our greatest disasters came not from knowing too much, but from not knowing enough." Chi had been studying human history in the library records. "Your species has developed weapons capable of destroying your entire planet. Many would consider that too much knowledge. Those weapons exist because we learned how to split the atom," Song acknowledged. "But from that same knowledge came medical treatments, energy sources, and deeper understanding of the universe. The problem wasn't the knowledge, it was how we used it at first." As Chi listened to Song explain human philosophy on knowledge, he began to understand what made them different from other species. Humans didn't just learn, they questioned. They weren't satisfied with being told something was impossible. They wanted to see for themselves. Most concerning to the Confederation was the human willingness to share knowledge freely. Other species carefully controlled information, releasing it only to those deemed ready. Humans published their findings openly, believing that more minds working on problems would lead to better solutions. A week after the council meeting, the library received an unprecedented request from the human research team. They wanted to teach classes on their new combined technologies to students from all Confederation species. "This is highly irregular," Chi told Song when he came to discuss the request. "New technologies are usually restricted until fully tested and understood. The best way to test and understand them is to have many different perspectives," Song argued. "The Confederation has been limiting knowledge for too long, creating artificial barriers between fields that should be connected." The council debated the human request for days. Some members argued that human approaches to knowledge were dangerous and irresponsible. Others pointed out that their innovations were already producing beneficial results. In the end, a compromise was reached. Humans could teach their methods, but only to advanced students who already understood the traditional approaches. The first classes were controversial. Human teachers didn't lecture from established texts like other Confederation instructors. Instead, they posed problems and asked students to find their own solutions. They encouraged questioning of fundamental principles. They praised creative failures more than safe successes. 6 months later, those classes had produced more innovations than decades of traditional education. Students from species that had been enemies for centuries worked together on projects, finding that different evolutionary perspectives. The Confederation Council chamber had never been so tense. Representatives from 100 worlds sat in uncomfortable silence as they viewed the latest reports from the border regions. The Arvex Dominion had positioned a massive fleet near Confederation space. After centuries of Cold War interrupted by brief, violent conflicts, it seemed full-scale war was finally coming. "The diplomatic channels have been silent for 3 weeks," reported Elder Q, the head of Confederation security. "The Arvex Supreme Commander has rejected all communication attempts." Captain June, now promoted to Admiral and serving on the Council, studied the holographic display showing fleet positions. The situation looked grim. The Arvex forces outnumbered Confederation defenders in the border sectors. "We must prepare for war," said the representative from Teller, a world that had suffered Arvex attacks in the past. Many council members nodded in agreement. "Perhaps," said a quiet voice. There is another option. All eyes turned to Earth's ambassador, a man named Sung. He had been part of the Confederation for only 1 year, yet had already gained a reputation for unusual perspectives. The Arvex respect only strength, Elder Q objected. They interpret diplomacy as weakness. Then we will speak to them in terms of strength, Sung replied, but not the strength of weapons. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Most members dismissed the human suggestion. The Arvex were known throughout the galaxy as ruthless conquerors. Their society was built around warfare and expansion. Negotiations had failed countless times before. What do you propose, Ambassador? Asked the council president, raising a hand for silence. Let me go to them, Sung said simply. Let me speak with the Arvex Supreme Commander directly. This suggestion was met with disbelief. That would be suicide, said the Tellarite representative. The Arvex execute diplomats who bring unwelcome messages. I am aware of the risk, Sung replied calmly. But consider the alternative. If we go to war now, millions will die on both sides. Surely one life is worth risking to prevent such suffering. After hours of debate, the council reluctantly agreed to Sung's proposal, not because they believed it would succeed, but because it would buy time to strengthen their defenses before the inevitable conflict. Admiral June volunteered to accompany the human ambassador. As a Confederation observer, he explained, though privately he felt responsible for whatever happened to Sung. To everyone's surprise, the Arvex agreed to the meeting. Perhaps they were curious about the species that had so easily defeated their battle fleet months earlier. The meeting would take place on a neutral space station at the border between territories. As their ship approached the meeting point, June turned to Sung. Ambassador, you should know that the Arvex communication style is aggressive. They view politeness as weakness. Sung nodded. I've studied their cultural archives extensively. I believe I understand their perspective. June doubted this. The Arvex were notoriously difficult even for experienced diplomats to handle. Their language contained dozens of subtle dominance cues that outsiders often missed. One wrong word could be interpreted as an insult or a challenge. The neutral station came into view, a large cylindrical structure spinning slowly in the emptiness of space. As they docked, June noticed Sung taking small white tablets from a container. Medication? June asked. Just a precaution, Sung explained. The Arvex prefer environmental conditions that are uncomfortable for most species. Higher gravity, higher temperature, different atmospheric mix. These will help me adapt. June was impressed by this preparation. Most diplomats insisted on neutral environmental conditions for meetings. Sung was willing to enter the Arvex comfort zone instead. The Arvex delegation was already inside the station when they arrived. The Supreme Commander was a massive figure with gray-blue skin and ceremonial scars covering his face and arms. He wore armor even in this diplomatic setting, and his personal guards carried energy weapons that were technically prohibited in neutral zones. June prepared to make standard introductions, but before he could speak, Sung stepped forward and performed a complex series of gestures. They were movements June had never seen before. A combination of sharp, aggressive motions followed by specific hand positions. The Arvex Supreme Commander's eyes widened in shock. How is this possible? He demanded. These are sacred forms. War Master signs taught only to those who have won 5 great victories. We studied your history, Sung explained in perfect Arvex battle language, including the harsh consonants that most non-Arvex throats couldn't produce. Not just your tactical databases, but your cultural archives, literature, and philosophy. We wanted to understand you, not just defeat you. The commander stared at Sung for a long moment, then barked a command to his guards. They seemed reluctant to obey, but eventually they lowered their weapons slightly. Speak then, human, the commander said. Say what you came to say. What followed was unlike any negotiation June had witnessed in his long diplomatic career. Sung didn't begin with Confederation concerns or demands. Instead, he spoke about Arvex history, their struggles on their harsh homeworld, their victories against ancient enemies, their expansion across the stars. Your people have much to be proud of, Sung said. You have overcome challenges that would have destroyed lesser species. The commander nodded slowly, clearly surprised by this approach. Then Sung shifted to addressing core Arvex grievances against the Confederation, resource inequalities, territorial disputes, cultural misunderstandings that had accumulated over centuries. He acknowledged problems that previous Confederation negotiators had dismissed or ignored. The Confederation has not always dealt fairly with the Dominion. Sung admitted. This is a truth that must be spoken. June nearly interrupted at this point. Such admissions of fault were not in their diplomatic instructions. But the effect on the Arvex was remarkable. The commander leaned forward, his aggressive posture softening slightly. For 7 days, the negotiations continued. Sometimes they were calm discussions over shared meals. Other times they became shouting matches where Sung matched the Arvex intensity without flinching. The human adapted to Arvex customs that other species found impossible to tolerate. The ritual displays of strength, the direct confrontation protocols, even the uncomfortable environmental conditions. You adapt to them rather than requiring them to adapt to you. June observed privately to Sung during a brief rest period. Understanding isn't agreement, Sung explained. We can temporarily become what we need to be to build a bridge. It's how we survived our own divisions on Earth. On the 3rd day, Sung surprised everyone by requesting a physical combat demonstration with an Arvex warrior. This was a standard part of Arvex diplomatic protocol that other species always declined. Are you certain? June asked worriedly. The Arvex are much stronger than humans. Strength isn't everything, Sung replied. The demonstration took place in a training room. The Arvex warrior was nearly twice Sung's size with natural armor and claws. Sung wore only simple exercise clothing. June expected a quick and painful defeat for the human. What happened instead was beautiful in its way. The Arvex attacked with power and aggression, but Sung never met force with force. He redirected, avoided, used the Arvex's own momentum against him. It wasn't that Sung was trying to win. He was demonstrating a completely different philosophy of combat. After 20 minutes, both participants were exhausted, but unharmed. The Arvex warrior bowed slightly to Sung, a gesture of respect June had never seen them offer an outsider. Later, the Supreme Commander asked Sung about the combat style. Your technique. It is unlike any we have encountered. It's called Aikido, Sung explained. One of many Earth martial arts based on using an opponent's energy rather than opposing it directly. It seems inefficient, the commander said, yet effective in its way. Different approaches for different situations, Sung agreed. Humans have developed hundreds of combat systems, each with its own philosophy and purpose. This conversation led to deeper discussions about Arvex and human approaches to conflict. Sung listened more than he spoke, showing genuine interest in Arvex perspectives. He asked questions that showed respect for their traditions while gently challenging assumptions. By the 6th day, the tone of the meetings had fundamentally changed. The Arvex still maintained their fierce demeanor, but there was a new willingness to consider alternatives to war. Sung proposed a framework for peace that preserved Arvex honor while ensuring Confederation security. He suggested joint resource development in disputed areas, cultural exchange programs, and a gradual integration of Arvex representatives into Confederation governance. Your people have strengths the Confederation needs, Sung told the commander. Your discipline, your courage, your directness, these qualities would benefit the galaxy if directed toward cooperation rather than conquest. On the final day, the impossible happened. A peace treaty was signed. The terms benefited both sides in ways previous negotiators had never conceived. Based on complementary needs that centuries of hostility had obscured. As the Arvex commander prepared to depart, he asked Sung directly, "The rumors about humans that you are dangerous contradictions, both warriors and healers, both destructive and nurturing, these are true?" Sung smiled. "All rumors about humans are true, Commander. Especially the contradictory ones.